Good morning, Blazers. I'm Erika.
And I'm Angelina.
And welcome back to our last OTV broadcast of the semester. Last month, OTV had the opportunity to talk to a former Oberlin student who became a member of the Colorado House of Representatives, Aman Jada. In OTV's exclusive interview, she talks about her experience here at Oberlin and how her upbringing shaped her career and outlook on politics. The full interview will be posted on OTV's Instagram account.
My name is Aman Jada, and I am the state representative for the 41st House District in Aurora, which is this district, and I am the class of 2000. So the experience I had at Overland was probably one of the best of my adolescence. I was incredibly grateful that Overland was and continues to be the most diverse school in Cherry Creek schools. One of the most influential teachers that I remember and continues to impact my life is Eliza Hamrick. She created a space for me to embrace my ability to dispel a lot of myths and stereotypes about being a Muslim, about being Arab. I actually kind of stumbled into politics. The day after 9/11 happened, I declared political science. I didn't want to be viewed as the other. I didn't want people who shared my identity to be viewed as the other. Unfortunately, in the wake of 9/11, I was kind of thrust into this world of having to explain my religion, explain my heritage, and really defend this way of life for 2 billion people in the world. And this actually wasn't anything new to me. Ever since I was at Prairie, I had always kind of been that person, been that one person in the room who can explain what it is to be a Muslim and an Arab. Coming from a place like Overland, where people with these shared identities were actually embraced rather than treated as the other, made it a lot easier going into this space of having to do it almost professionally on much bigger stages. So to me, the American dream is something that's very personal. When I decided to make that the slogan of my campaign and really the goal and the mission and vision of what I would do as an elected, it meant that I wanted to make sure people understood that I was the product of that American dream. My parents are immigrants and refugees from Palestine, and their American dream, just like people like themselves, immigrants and refugees, was to come to this country to find solace in peace and security and safety, but for also economic prosperity. And I think the beautiful thing about the American dream is that it looks different for every single person. Sometimes the American dream can look like getting higher education, home ownership, simply owning a car, and having access to voting, things that maybe they didn't have before. So some of the issues that I'm finding not only in HD 41, but really throughout the state of Colorado is the need to honestly help folks realize their American dream. We shouldn't have to worry about folks' residency status or the color of their skin or their religion or how they identify. We want to be an all-inclusive state. All of these things come in through all pieces of my legislation. So when I'm drafting or introducing bills, I go through with the lens of how can this impact our basic human rights and how can we ensure that folks have access to those human rights and that they are not compromised at all.
As some of you may know, the nearby dirt lot, often used as a shortcut to go off campus during lunch, has been sold. The company which has purchased the land intends to build on top of it, which would displace the local prairie dogs. This has prompted environmental concerns from students here at Overland.
With the sudden purchase of the dirt lot across from the school, the environmental club and other members have been coming up with a plan to save the local prairie dogs from being exterminated and displaced from their homes.
So my name is Britt Inger Scott, and I am an English language support specialist here at Overland. What will be happening at the lot is that the sale is imminent, and that means that very soon it will trade hands to a new owner. The new owner plans to build an apartment building on that space, and that will require that the prairie dogs can no longer stay there. So I think it'll be both positive and negative. I think the change for Overland community will be that our students will no longer be able to walk through that area to get to and from lunch, which will make it harder on our students. At the same time, though, it will be harder on the wildlife who live there. There are hawks that live there, bunnies, prairie dogs, fox, and coyotes who also live there. That will be less space for them to thrive.
I'm Kaylin Yim and I am president of Environmental Club. Ways that students could help Environmental Club would be to help donate. We're going to come up with like a Venmo link or a Venmo QR code that you could just sort of send money to. We're going to hold like bake sales. We're going to sell items that we make ourselves that are made of like recyclable items. And yeah, so if like money would be contributed in any way, that would be extremely helpful.
Ms. McClelland and the Environmental Club have taken on this project for Overland. They are working on many different fronts, but essentially they're working to help remove some of the trash that ends up in that lot, because the prairie dogs are actually eating some food out of that trash that's not healthy for them and that could harm them. And then the second piece that the Environmental Club is doing is fundraising, because it takes several $1,000s in order to move prairie dogs from one location to another.
So we would just raise money to pay professionals to relocate them. As of right now, they aren't planning on doing it because they're not getting paid.
With student involvement and donations, the Environmental Club hopes to save the prairie dogs before construction starts. This is Lisette signing off.
That's all we have for you this week. Have a splendid break and
Happy holidays, Blazers!